No, this is the intention. You see, we have covered a fair number of rivers by now. There's one more session next month on the rivers of Andhra Pradesh. After that, when we get all the papers together, you will find some commonalities. And then we can draw some conclusions at the end. Maybe we can even have a separate seminar for deciding on future courses of action. I am planning a seminar after this next month's program is over, partly to cover the remaining rivers, which have not been covered in this series, and partly also to bring everything together, draw the strings together, and reach some conclusions for future action. But of course, in the meanwhile, everything is going to be mucked up by the Supreme Court's order. That's going exactly in the opposite direction. But what can one do?
So maybe it would be a good idea to say something about, can we write something, a critique of that, and you could be the nodal person who would do it, and
about?
we could about the Supreme Court order. I mean, of course, it is not, as pointed out by Himanshu, it is not the area of either competence or expertise or anything at all. So the order is completely flawed at a very fundamental level. But even leaving the Supreme Court out of it, if we got people into this dialogue, and maybe we can send our suggestions to you, what you think is necessary, that we should write it together, not as a single article, because that doesn't really produce much effect, right?
No, we must do something about this, but that will be a separate exercise, not part of this series.
I just wanted to, Dipinder Kapoor, I just wanted to ask Himanshu that, see, in Gujarat, it came for agriculture, Narmada water and all these interlinking, but increasingly there's this demand for drinking water. And so is there a contradiction in the sharing or the use of Narmada water also for urban areas, cities, versus what was planned for agriculture? And the other thing is that for Narmada water, it was seen as an external water coming from Madhya Pradesh to Gujarat. So there was a lot of popular sentiment that anybody who is opposing Narmada is opposing water for Gujarat. Now that that source is dried up and no more rivers can be tapped, and all this Kalpasar and other options are being planned, but the people will still be under this impression that what is the problem, you know, these people are making a noise, at least we'll get more water, there is water shortage. So it's an issue which is very difficult to, it was very difficult for the NBA at that stage. And now also the impression is that more dams, more structures, more engineering will solve the problem. But actually it's a big mega scam happening. It's like a dead investment. You keep investing and it keeps paying the people who invest. So that has to be, I think, more forcefully brought out. At this stage, at least, when they've seen Narmada, that has ended. And now all these, especially in states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, or even Andhra Pradesh, I mean, these promises which are being made of more dams, more structures are actually big engineering scams only. There is nothing in which there is no water which to be dammed and to be provided.
Regarding your first question, out of the allocation to Gujarat, their plan there was that out of 9 million acre feet that Gujarat got, they had allocated 1.06 million acre feet for industrial and domestic water. And out of 1.06 MF, they had allocated 0.2 MF for industries and 0.86 MF for domestic water. And then they said that we will take this domestic water supply to all the villages of Kutch, all the villages and towns of Kutch, Saurashtra and North Gujarat districts. And when they calculated that, they said that this 0.86 MF will be sufficient for taking water to all of them. The rest of the water was supposed to be for irrigation. So south of Sabarmati, there was supposed to be no water either for industry or for urban areas. And today, all the water is going just for that. And not only that, a lot of cash crops are happening. So there is a huge, in fact, even the CAG and a number of people have commented that the allocation for irrigation will obviously come down, because you are allocating so much water to all these other which were not allocated earlier. So that issue is going on. But in Gujarat, unfortunately, descent is so difficult, and people are raising this issue, but they are not being effective. And unfortunately, the lobbies, the farmers' lobby in Kutch, Saurashtra, and North Gujarat, who should be raising this, are not strong enough to really push the government in that direction. And NBA, unfortunately, is also now busy with largely rehabilitation-related issues. So there is a sort of vacuum in that area where the people are not really raising that kind of issues. That's the situation, but definitely that's happening. Your second question is also very correct, and we need to show that how this is actually a construction lobby and related lobbies which are actually pushing all this, and they are benefiting more and more out of it. I guess we need to do much more to achieve that. Yeah.
Allowed another question? Yes, please. Talking about Kalpasar, my name is I.P. Shah. I know the people who propose Kalpasar, and they also seem to have a very valid point of contributing to the state of Gujarat and the water facilities. You also have a very strong viewpoint on this, and we heard a few others. Now, the question comes, how do we decide? We take 30 years, we take 60 years, and we hash the debates, and we don't come up with anything. When we come up, there is opposition, and money is wasted, and then we find that the money was wasted in Narmada project, as you say. Now, compare this with the US. When they did the Great Lakes linking to the sea, a huge project, how they're able to do it without damaging whatever we are talking about. And similarly, in the state of Tennessee, the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, a fantastically huge project that contributed water and not today, that was done many years ago. So what is your views on this?
Okay, I think this is also connected with what Katpalia ji was saying. What is the way forward? And we have to look at, firstly, I think we need governance reforms. We need real greater democracy in water resource sector today. That doesn't exist. Democracy through participation, transparency, accountability, clearly defined. You won't believe it. There is a technical advisory committee chaired by the Secretary Ministry of Water Resources, which approves all the irrigation projects of India. And that body takes decisions of thousands of crores, tens of thousands of crores in each of its meetings. But there is no minutes of the meeting, there is no agenda notes of the meeting, there is no papers related to meeting, there is no accountability. People don't even know on what basis or what post facto actually decisions were taken, why they were taken, nothing. That's the situation in India. You can't get a flow data of rivers in India. It's a state secret even today. So I think firstly we need governance reform to make it much more. Secondly, our water resources. Where is our water coming from actually? Where does our food production come from? If you look at irrigation, India today has 64 million hectares of net irrigated area. How much is the area irrigated by major and medium irrigation projects? It reached a peak of 17.79 million hectares in 91-92. After that, it has come down. There is a graph which you can see on website. The graph has come down. The area irrigated after 91-92 by major and medium irrigation projects has never reached that figure. This is not my figure. This is Government of India figures. And in this period between 91, 92 and today, connecting with what Dipinder was saying, we have spent 2 lakh crores not adding any net irrigated area. It's a zero-sum game. It's not that it's not, some places it's getting added, other places it's not getting subtracted. There are a lot of issues of non-maintenance, non-repair, canals getting silted up, dams getting silted up, the tail ends never getting water, the head reaches getting all the water-intensive crops. In Maharashtra is the state which has built the largest number of dams in India.